All right, a very good morning to you. It's good to see you right here on Your World on Real Talk Tuesday. And you know, every single Tuesday we talk about things that matter to us and affect us and impact us in one way or the other. And today's conversation is not different. So we started a conversation last week and we're just trying to figure, monogamy versus polygamy and social construct and all those things. So today, and I think it was Prof or Emmanuel or Bishop, I can't remember who said, that right now the young people are actually looking at marriages and they're like, you know what, I'd rather not. So today we want to focus on that part, okay? And that is on modern culture and society. And we're just trying to figure, has marriage lost its purpose? So that is the conversation this morning, conversation that I'm looking forward the most, and especially from my panel this morning. Same panel that we had last week, and that is Professor Owor Olunga on my immediate left, who is an anthropologist from University of Nairobi. Good to have you, Prof. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm
You're
doing well. I'm looking forward to the debate.
Karibu sana. Emmanuel Gashanja, who's a relationship coach and founder, Iva. Good to see you.
Good to see
Emmanuel.
you too.
You all look comfortable and seated comfortable. Yeah, in the conversation
We're
today.
ready.
Yeah, it's gonna
We're
be
ready. It's home.
Yes.
And we're ready to chat.
I like that. I like that. And we also have Bishop Grace Mudhoni Daliza, who's a bishop from Jesus Lives Ministries International. Good to have you this morning, Bishop. How are you doing?
Very fine.
Looking
Fantastic.
very well and poised, eh? And I really like your dress. You look absolutely fantastic
It's
this
the
morning.
season.
It's
The
the
festive
season,
season.
right? Yeah, I just forgot to wear my hat this morning. But it's so good to see all of you.
You're looking
How are
good
you?
too.
Thank you,
Very,
Bishop.
very
How was your week? How was, since we last met, because it was like last week, so literally technically a week. How was it been,
A little reflection on what we said about monogamy.
Yes.
And we were looking forward to deconstruct further issues of modernity, culture, and society that we are
Yes.
here today to do
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Emmanuel, you had a good one as well?
I did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately or unfortunately for me, a lot
Okay.
of my couples were watching.
Oh, they
And so
were.
as they were watching, they were just like, so what was that
And
was
then-
being said? and of course, everybody was wowed by Prof's English.
Let me tell
They said,
you.
"Eish, the English."
Cosmo, what did you say? Cosmo who? And Bishop as well. Church was good. Everything good for
Very
you?
good, very
Okay.
good, yeah.
All right. So the question that we're asking you this morning is: are traditional reasons for marriage still relevant in modern society? That is the question that we're asking you this morning, and that is: are traditional reasons for marriage still relevant in modern society? The question is there on your screen. Are traditional reasons for marriage still relevant in the modern society? And here, a lot of you have a lot to say, okay? But just in case you're watching, you're tuning in and coming across the question of the day for the first time this morning, engage with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. Alternatively, use our WhatsApp number 0112 500 400 and tell us what you feel about this whole conversation about marriage in today's world or modern society. And the question that we're asking, that is, are traditional reasons for marriage still relevant in today's society? Now, someone actually, before I even just pose the question to you guys, yeah? So someone said, did they give the name? No. Said you're world fan, okay? So they said reasons for marriage in African traditional society were as follows, and he has listed, I want to see if it's a he, maybe. So number one, siring children. Children were seen as a source of labor, wealth, and prestigious purposes. Marriage was there to increase someone's status, like Mr. or Mrs. Some roles were given based on this. For example, elders were heads of families. You're highly respected if you bear a family name, unlike singlehood. Okay, and then continues to say, to cement the unity between the two families, modern marriage has no this kila msee anaishi kivyake, and there's no record for the in-laws. So you can sire 5 children and you have never seen your mother-in-law. For example, can we stay or risk marriage's effect? Higher, they're not done. They continue to say, companionship. So this one is deteriorating due to white-collar jobs. If you marry a pilot or any career person whose works are engageful, you only see each other once or twice or thrice in a year. And like in the African traditional setting of society, all the parents were in their they're in harboring their kids. Kuna watoi, they don't even know their mom or dad, and this is due to the nature of their work. And then lastly, they say another relevant reason for marriage is a continuation of genealogy, passing the desired features, but zingine zote, they have become archaic. bride price, till death do us part, Storia. Storia, we get all that together, Generation Gen Z. Very few will see their grannies. So simply because separation and divorce rates are also high, unlike Kitambo, where you'll be forced to go back to your marriage even if things were not working. And Mbaliza's by saying my sentiments. Hey,
He has covered the whole topic.
he's covered everything.
Kudos to him. Is it a he?
I don't know, because they did say whether he or she, but again, if that was your comment, you know,
That could
call
be
us
a
back
she.
in.
Yeah.
Probably, right?
Could be a
Prof,
It sounds like a man.
it sounds like a man.
Sounds like a lady.
Okay, why? Why, Prof?
You want
Because
me to
they're
start
very
off?
detailed? Yes, I want you to
Yeah.
start off.
Well, I think we need to, first of all, to ask, what is marriage?
Okay, yes.
Marriage has been traditionally defined as a union of two consenting adults of opposite sex.
Okay.
And please underline the word opposite sex.
Opposite
traditionally.
sex. Okay.
So if you look at Rupert Murdoch, he looks at marriage as a union of two consenting adults who come together in a mutually consenting manner to be able to begin a family.
All right.
And in most traditional setups, marriage was not to the individual. You got married to the clan, you got married to a bigger
family.
network of people.
Yes.
And I think that's why even socialization of children beyond the biological parents. And as I did indicate last week, if I didn't, let me repeat, in the traditional setup, the conferment of marriage, the degree of understanding of marital vows was based on bridal payment.
Okay.
And this bridal then cemented the two families
All
in
right.
some way or the other.
Okay.
And any children begotten of this marriage was assumed to be the children of the man who paid bride wealth.
Okay.
So in that context, if you see what I'm alluding to, is that biological fatherhood was not a much of an issue. Social fatherhood was more prevalent,
more prevalent,
and
yes.
was more cherished. Now, marriage had four functions.
Okay.
One is the issue of continuous or patrilineal descent.
Okay.
And remember, if from the talk of that gentleman,
Yeah. It's
most-
actually a lady. My director tells me it was sent by a lady.
and I will tell you why.
Prof was
Now we have to
correct.
continue.
Yeah.
Most marriages were patrilocal. It means that a man married, the woman joined the man, and they lived together with the man's relatives.
Okay.
It's called patrilocal. The opposite matrilocal. But right now we have what we call neolocal or avunculocal postmarital residence.
All right.
It means me and you, I get married to a lady, and none of us live together with our parents.
Yes.
So we actually
Yes.
live on our own,
Yeah,
setting
yeah.
up our
And now,
own.
if you like sort of like get married and then you send your wife to live to your parents, with your parents, they'll be like, "Aye, where?"
Correct.
Right? But that was
Am I
what
married to your
used to
parents or
happen.
am I married to you?
Yeah.
So the first one was the issue of patrilineal,
Yeah.
patrilineage. It was also an element of economic cooperation. Marriage also conferred some legitimacy to the children begotten of their
All right.
of the whatever. So that the concept of a bastard child, fatherless, did not exist because of the marital arrangement.
All right.
But beyond all, it also, I think from a biblical sense, go forth and multiply and, you know,
Fill the earth.
subdue the world. So
Yes.
the continuity in terms of population dynamics was also critical within a marital arrangement.
Okay, and I'm happy that you said traditionally, or in remember the last conversation that we had was what is ideal and what is real on the ground. So Prof has alluded to the traditionally what marriage was intended to be and to do, quote unquote, right? Emmanuel, what is it that you are seeing right now?
I think that message actually described it very well. Again, as has been defined here,
Yeah.
marriage was supposed to be it's a communal thing, and you know, it was supposed to also increase the community and all that. But now, I think the term he used was neolocal.
We're learning.
Yeah.
Local
Research on
today.
those.
You need to but yeah,
Heavy words.
because we have gone away from that, it's become very individualized.
Yeah.
There are no accountability systems, so a lot of people are doing whatever it is. They are
Yeah.
struggling on their own,
Yeah.
and there's no you know mentorship and things like that is helping the unit to stay. So.
Okay.
marriages are really struggling. They're really struggling. They're failing left, right, and center.
Yeah.
And it's only getting worse. And the more we go away from what the traditional is, it'll keep getting worse. Just because there's nobody seeing a good, semblance of what a good marriage looks like.
Yeah.
And then the brokenness continues, and then the belief system that it doesn't work. For example, I learned not too long ago, millennials are the first generation that has desired marriage more than any other. And it's because for them, they
Are you
have
a
seen,
millennial?
Yes, I
they have
am a
seen-
millennial.
they have seen
Yeah.
a broken form of the family.
Yes.
So they
They
desire
want
to go into
better.
this. So they're the
Yeah.
first generation that do the come we stay, quite more than any other generation. Now, by the time you're getting to Gen Zs have seen this thing doesn't work, this thing fails, people are divorcing.
Yeah.
So their ideology of what this thing is, it's like, it doesn't work.
You know what's weird, Emmanuel, is there was a time when we relaunched Your World, so we had a conversation on marriage, and we had Gen Zs on set, on the panel. And it was so interesting because to them, first of all, now dating has changed, for the Gen Zs, because now they're dating with intention. And like millennials and other previous generation, we're trying to see, does this work? Do I like you? Do I, can I compromise on all those things? And then before you know it, it's like we've dated for 8 years and then married for 6 months and then we divorce. But for but for Gen Zs, they're very intentional. And so this couple that we had, they had only dated for so the first date they went to, they were talking about marriage. And I'm like, you talk to me on the first date about, that's a red flag, quote unquote, you're cancelled, And we're seeing more and more younger people, so Gen Zs in like early 20s, late, things like 18, 19, 20, they're actually getting married. And millennials there, since you're about to come, I'm trying to understand, are we getting married or are we not? And Bishop,
Are we compatible?
yes, or are we compatible and all those things. And from your standpoint, then from the church, what is it that you see? What is it that is ailing marriages? Because again, like Emmanuel said, rates of divorce are going high. There are a lot of broken families, right now. So what is it? What is the issue?
From the biblical standpoint, we know that marriage is a covenant
Okay.
ordained by God between a man and a woman.
And a
I think
woman.
it's important to say that.
Okay.
What is ailing the marriages right now?
Yeah.
First of all, people go into it with a lot of expectations.
Okay.
A lot of expectations, which by the first 6 months, 3 months, you're very excited. Oh, I'm married, we are staying together. Oh, we have this intimacy every day.
Yes.
Then after 6 months, somebody comes, they're tired. Now life has begun to happen.
Yes. And then kids come around.
Yeah, the expectation is not met.
Yeah.
And the hype that was there, the motivation of getting into marriage, now the whole thing begins to go down.
Okay.
And you begin to think this person now is not faithful. This person is seeing somebody else.
Yeah.
And then arguments begin, conflict begin.
Yeah.
And then you begin to realize the things that you never thought this person was. That's the time now you bring them up and fights begin, domestic constraints, in terms of you don't understand what I am, how I've come to this marriage, where I've come from, my background. If let's say one of them comes from a better off background, that's when they talk about it. And then the other person begins to feel like, oh, this one is looking down upon me.
Yeah.
That
Just because I
inequality comes up. And then you begin to feel this person is not treating me right.
Okay.
Marriage now starts losing taste even before it takes off.
Before you take...
So by the time
Before
it
it
moves
takes off.
into the third year,
Yeah.
the fourth year, the children have come, you realize even family support is not there. And that's what we are talking about now currently.
Yeah. Has it lost its
family
purpose?
support is not there.
Yeah.
And
Prof seems to have a lot to say. And also, I have a question on expectations. First of all, is it wrong to have expectations? But Prof, let's hear what you say first.
Let me start by saying this.
Yes.
I want to disagree with the idea that people get into marriage with expectations that are never met.
Okay.
I think we are simply marrying strangers.
Okay.
The very fundamental entry into this institution called marriage if I don't want to romanticize the past, but I will still go back to the past.
Okay.
And as I did mention last week, I will use a lot of my example from the Luo perspective. The Luo perspective,
Cosmetology.
marriages were on the basis of go-betweens. And these go-betweens did Googling and provided a very clear basis on this side and this side too.
Okay.
The go-between also went a further to be one of the Kofi Annans of these marital disputes.
Yeah.
So there was already somebody who knew X, also knew Y. And that's why you hear that if you are a witch, you are most likely paired by a fellow witch, with a fellow witch. So you can continue being witches. If you come from a family of thieves, we would not give you, my aunt will not give me a lady from thieving family.
Yeah.
So already there was an understanding.
Okay.
Today,
was that based on consent? Because you began by saying...
I'm coming to consent.
Yeah.
Sometimes consent is a misused term.
Yeah.
Now let's get back to consent now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you
Based
also
on the
started
so-called
by
romantics.
defining marriage
By
with
people
consent.
consenting.
Yes, consenting.
Yeah.
And I will come back to consent in the traditional sense.
Okay, okay.
Now, romantic love. We meet, we know nothing about each other.
True.
Human beings know how to behave when they know they're being monitored.
True.
So in my view,
You want to put
So that everything is proper.
so in my view, does courtship work? It's part of the lies. Part of the bigger lies.
Okay.
If Winnie, if I was dating you and I live in Mombasa, you live in Nairobi,
Yeah.
and I've called you, I'm coming,
Yeah.
you will do your best.
Ah, let me tell
Get
you.
Put
Get rid of all evidence.
the best foot forward.
Correct.
Yeah.
So am I talking to Winnie or a clone? I will
Most likely
definitely
a
be talking to a clone.
True.
Through that cloneship, I get married to a clone. So then reality dawns in because dating is ideal. Marriage is a reality.
Marriage is reality. Yeah,
Then you
that's
soon
the
realize,
thing,
and
yeah.
I did mention that most of the time, you marry whoever is available when you're most vulnerable.
Wow. Okay.
Now, the whole problem is to define vulnerability. Vulnerability could be poverty, could be unintended pregnancy, could be joblessness, could be social distance.
Yeah.
Because women tend to marry vertically up.
Okay.
Men tend to marry vertically down, at best horizontal.
Okay.
You're right. You're right. there.
Women marry
Yeah.
vertically up, at worst horizontal.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do I mean? If a woman is a CEO in this company, it's very unlikely that she will marry anybody lower
Lower. Yeah.
in this organization.
Okay.
The best is to go up.
Up,
Now, the problem is that today, most women are educated. So whom are they looking up to? Most women are professionals. What are they looking up to? So with men, there is challenged masculinity. You expect me, as in the Bible, to be the provider. And I can't provide anything.
That's what I said by saying the expectations are not
Correct.
Are not
Correct.
met.
Yeah.
Now, it is us who are not aligning with the changing circumstances.
Who, the men?
No,
Everybody.
society
Okay.
at large.
Oh,
It's us to align with the changing circumstances.
Yeah.
That the man who was supposedly be the provider can no longer provide.
Yeah.
The woman who was supposed to be provided for is now,
Is now
on the
providing.
driving seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So unless we come to terms with these realities and see marriage as partnership, not as some kind of servitude, slavery, where one person works and the other one feeds on it,
Yeah.
or one person is fed and the other one,
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that we need to
Is
come to
that
terms
why
with.
then we hear a lot of conversations surrounding submission? And you hear a lot of men say, yeah, but women nowadays don't submit. Kwanza wamekuwa vichwa ngumu. Huyo kwanza ukipata they have their
Umekaliwa.
things in order. Ai, huyo anakukalia vizuri. Is that why then, Emmanuel, based on what Prof is saying?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. That's why submission is a struggle.
Yeah.
But I also believe it's because I think we also have the wrong ideology of what a marriage should look like.
Okay.
Let me take it a little bit back.
All right.
Just track with me for
Sure,
a
yes.
second.
Okay.
I once read, you know how people love to quote Proverbs 31.
Hey,
You know, the
Proverbs
Proverbs 31
woman.
woman. They love to quote the Proverbs 31
What does it
woman.
say?
The Proverbs 31 woman.
She wakes up early,
The Proverbs 31
prepares for
woman.
her family.
Yes.
So anyway, I went and read Proverbs 31 woman.
Okay.
And this is what it starts. You know, first of all, she's amazing. She's like rubies.
Yes.
You know?
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And then she's faithful and loyal.
Yeah.
And then now it goes on to start talking about the things that she does. How she wakes up early, does all these things, prepares Nini.
For the
Yes.
family.
You know, she takes care of the family.
Yeah.
And then it talks about also the other economical things that she does. She considers a land, buys it, she takes the produce, she sells it at the market.
Okay.
So this is also part of provision
Yeah. That's
true.
within
Economically.
the
It's like
family.
yeah.
Now, this is biblical.
Okay.
This is biblical. So you also have to ask yourself, where did this thing come that the man is the Do you know it actually came from a brokenness, that men were trying to subdue women so that they can restore back the power.
Yeah.
Because like in the First World War, they were all sent to war. When they came back, all their wives were working, had their jobs in the factories and in the manufacturing plants and in the mines.
Yeah.
The wives were the ones who were doing that. They were jobless. So now how do they restore back their place? They were essentially their roles were taken by their women.
Away from them.
And they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So you have to create a system so that you
So
can
like quote unquote
restore
give
the
back your
order
work.
as
Yeah.
you see it
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah.
And this is where the challenges and the problems are. For me, for my wife to be a CEO, that's an amazing thing.
Right?
For my wife to have businesses and whatever, that's an
Yeah.
amazing thing.
And economically
the
empowered.
most important thing is, do we have a goal, a vision together that we intend to achieve?
Yeah.
And what are we doing to work towards that?
Yeah.
And are we one in that what I bring to the table is ours, what she brings to the table is ours, and whatever we put here is for the good of not just us,
a
the
person.
family,
Yes.
but our children, our
Yeah.
children's children,
Yeah.
and generations to come.
Yeah. Nowadays, you know what they say? I am the table.
Winnie, I want to say
Yeah,
this from the spiritual point. In Ephesians 5, the Bible says that a man should love the wife. And the wife should be submissive.
Yes.
But what now I think is happening, the commitment of that love, it is there just to, a man may show love until the woman comes on board. And then now the love is overtaken by many other things. It is still there.
Yeah.
It is not very visible.
Okay.
Because women want to see the flowers, the gifts,
Yes.
the
The
peck.
question is
Yeah.
that love?
The peck and
think
what
we
have
need
you.
to
That's what
also
I'm
define that.
explaining.
Yes,
That's what I'm explaining.
Okay.
But once you get into that union, the man now gets busy being the patriarch.
Yeah.
He wants to provide.
Trying to provide,
He
yes.
wants to be the point of authority.
Yes.
And biblically it is said that the man should have authority in the home,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the woman should be submissive to this man and the authority
Yeah.
that this man offers in the family.
Yeah.
But now what happens is that during that time, because what lured you into the marriage is love.
Yeah.
This man was calling you
It's
all the time.
vulnerability.
No, it's love. The man visited you, came around your fence maybe to whistle, and you went out, there was that hug.
Yes.
All of a sudden, because now the roles have become,
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
He has to provide for this family. Then the peck is not there. He comes
Or
tired.
they used to take you
Yeah.
out on several dates by
Yes,
do all
you
the
go
things,
for
and then
lunch,
all of a sudden
you
they
go for
don't
dinner
do
this
that.
day. All of a
Yes.
sudden he says, what have you
don't do
cooked?
that.
What have you cooked?
Exactly.
And you feel like this thing is changing.
Can we put a pause on
Yes.
that? And then when we come back from, because I do not want to rush you, we'll pick up from there. And then Prof said, Sister, that's vulnerability. That is not even love. So then how do we define the two?
Prof, you're very right.
on the vulnerability
You
thing.
know,
Let's take
Can
a
you
break.
do that
There's a
after?
pause.
Can you we do that after the break?
Sure.
Yes, because I do not want to rush any of you. But where? It is getting hot in here. Listen, the question that we're asking you this morning is, are traditional reasons for marriage still relevant in the modern society? Let's get to hear a few of what you have to say. Nicole Muñez says yes, because they are considered more legal and official than modern. Okay. And then someone else says, this is Samuel Murithi, says yes, still very relevant. All right. And then Silas Kinyanjui Gishamba says, stick to the basic always. Everything else is additional. Hey! George Awino says, I can't follow my traditions. Some are outdated and irrelevant today. We'll also pick up the conversation from there, but keep sending your views on our socials. That is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie, or use our WhatsApp number 0112 500 400. But again, if you have a question to any of these amazing people on the panel today, send them our way as well on our socials, and then we'll try and, get as much feedback from you as possible after the short break. Stay with us. The show is Your World.
I'll have the usual on the rocks, double.
I'll have whatever he's having.
Real recognize real. No added sugar, no preservatives. 100% real fruit.
Any two 80-gram Cadbury Dairy Milk Packs ama Cadbury Drinking Chocolate. Visit Cadbury.Africa or declare someone special your heartfelt message ya kumshow thanks. T's and C's apply. Cadbury, there's a glass and a half in everyone.
Get ready to have your mind blown.
Hey, what's up, my good people? This is your girl, Avril.
We're bringing you the hottest show in town.
The king of gospel, and I represent for Quantum Mix.
Yo, Butruse K, the sharp god up in the mix, you know what I'm saying? NTV, shout out to you, bro.
From exclusive interviews with the biggest names in the game and snippets from your favorite live performances. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Kwetu Mix every weekday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on NTV.
For fast relief of strong pain, like headache, toothache, and muscle pain. And I am finally released from pain and ready to be there for those who need me. Try Panadol Extra for fast and effective.
There are good things we've learned about the G2G. The idea that we can defer payment for 6 months, unlike where we used to pay upfront. And secondly, the fact that the importation, as far as the local requirement is concerned, can be paid in Kenya shilling instead of dollar, has made such a significant difference as far as the macroeconomics of the country is concerned. And if you look today at petrol station, it's not a petrol station. The consumer behavior has actually changed. So a petrol station is a mini supermarket, is a pharmacy, is your saloon, is your everything else. So it's quite costly to sink that kind of investment right next to another. I have my first EV port in charge in our Kasarani station. It's always driven by the consumer. So we have to see, how many EV vehicles are being imported. And these are data that we're very keen.
If it's going to make you happy, then I'll make sure that Diana rolls in jail for the rest of her life.
Good. I think ini through personal mametupatia.
Naahidi kutunza vema wewe pamoja na wanao wawili and the business that Amazon and I started.
You are under arrest as a suspect in the murder of Mr. Jefferson Amazon.
What?
No one, absolutely no one, messes with the Jefferson family and gets away with it.
Sanga.
But I know that meat looks tender, but maybe not so much when your chest is burning. Remember what happened the last time? Hey, dude, you don't listen, man. Are you testing yourself? I tried looking out for you, bro. Hey, you see now? How's the heartburn? Look now, it's burning.
Do not hold back in any situation. Eno gets to work on the 6 symptoms of heartburn fast.
Watch.
You do know you said all of that out loud, right?
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice. The Fire Award Conference will be held on December 5th, 2024 at the Serena Hotel, and the gala dinner held on December 6th, 2024 at the Safari Park Hotel.
All right, welcome back. Let me tell you, the discussion still continues. Even during the break, it's hot. It's really hot in here. And today it's all about modern culture and society. And we just try to understand, has marriage lost its purpose? And the question that we're asking you this morning is very simple. Are traditional reasons for marriage still relevant in the modern society? That is the question that we're asking you this morning. Are traditional reasons for marriage still relevant in the modern society? So keep sending your views. It's a lot of your, the comments that you have shared on our socials. That is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me as well at Lubembe_Winnie. So just to go through one. So this one says, every marriage is traditional. We don't have spiritual marriages, only that religion copied the white man culture and traditional way of marriage, and then they incorporated in their religion. And then someone else says, the first comment that I read was from Nathan. And then this one says, this is Dan Sibiu, who says, Hakuna, in fact, men should sign contracts with these women. But Bishop, you had...
Yes.
What
I was saying, I was talking about this. When you get into marriage, this man all of a sudden changes. But the change is quote unquote because the man begins to play their role in this marriage. Now, what happens... as a reaction to this, the woman withdraws. Because he feels this man was not what I thought. And that's where I was talking about the expectation.
All right.
Now, when she withdraws, the man now doesn't know how to behave. He may ask a few questions. Why are you quiet today? The lady will continue to be quiet. And then we have communication breakdown.
I see that.
And there's a blend of communication breakdown. When it happens, intimacy maybe is withdrawn. There is no intimacy. So that affects that marriage. 2, there is no proper serving of your spouse. Whichever way, because it can be the man serving or the woman serving. That one is affected. And the more that happens, there is that parting, the distance now grows. Distance grows. And by the time you realize there is no communication, there is no feeling, and now there is no common goal anymore. Everybody is just thinking their way. For a long time, you realize that somebody feels, why don't I get out? Why don't I
The grass is greener, quoted
yes.
on the other side.
Why don't I get, this is not what I signed up for. This man is not talking, is not the same. Maybe he's seeing somebody else. Where is the love that was there in the beginning? And that is what has affected marriages. That at the foundation, that is within 6 months, a year, things have begun to change. And therefore, the foundation of that marriage is already shaky.
I see
because there is that mistrust. And marriage should be built on trust, love, companionship, and then other things will be secondary. Things like procreation, and the other thing is what? Procreation and social and economic stability.
I see
Those
that.
are secondary. But the first thing is what attracted you to one another. And I want to assume what attracted you to one another is love.
Okay,
So
vulnerability.
Winnie, let me respond to that. And I think what Prof said was actually very spot on. That it's vulnerability.
Yes.
All right. So now just picture this. When you grew up, there's something that you saw and there's a picture that you saw of marriage.
100%.
All right?
Yes.
When you grew up, there are things that you saw from the media, from the newspapers, from your social media in this day and age, that gave you a representation of what marriage is.
Looks like and should be.
The problem is not how it should be.
Oh,
it's
what
a
it
representation of marriage.
Okay, all right.
Whether it's the right representation or the wrong representation, it was a representation of marriage.
I see.
And so for you, it begins to form your mind on what marriage is. However, none of us are taught what marriage is. We're not raised to learn what marriage is. So when you're coming into this thing,
you're experimenting.
So you're experimenting, and not just are you experimenting, it's based on a need, and most of those needs come from a place of brokenness.
Oh, yes.
All right? Now, in one of the courses we teach, in week 3, we are asking people now to go back and look inside and ask themselves, what is the reason you came into marriage? Was it financial security?
Okay.
Was it she's pregnant?
And that is a possibility.
Was it
right?
Was it pressure from society?
Society.
You know, societal
older.
pressure. You're getting older.
Rushing
Was
towards
it
menopause.
loneliness? Was it loneliness?
Yeah.
All right. Was it
Or
brokenness?
Yeah.
Was it brokenness? And if you actually look at all these things, they apply. The day I read this material, and I was asking myself, because I strongly believed I came into this thing for love. But let me tell you, I went to a school. It was in the deep south in the US. Now they get married when they are young. Some people get married at 18. Now, so I'm there. All my friends are married. I'm the only one who is single. So if I'm not the third, I'm the fifth or seventh or ninth wheel. So I'm always the extra person. And all these people are having marriage conversations. So by the time I see a woman, I'm like, hey, I need to lock this.
I need to.
All right?
Yes. Yeah.
Again, many people they're looking at finances. One is okay, but two of us tunawezana. Kwanza in this economy, two of us definitely tunawezana. So again, he's right that it's the level of vulnerability. But I will say it like this: in psychology, is what's the broken need that you're trying to meet and to fix? And this is what now brings the expectation that we are placing, and it's an unfair expectation.
Yes, I wanted to ask the same because
that person, one, does not know, does not understand, and is not trained or equipped to fulfill that. So you're actually setting yourself up for failure. And that is all of us. Every single one of us will face that. So now it's important for us now to go back and look inside. What are the broken things that we see? Let me give you a simple example.
But when you say broken,
let me give you
point.
All right.
When you say broken point, what does that exactly mean? Because somebody in my church was asking, the specialist in a relationship kept talking about brokenness. What does that mean? Because if you go into a marriage, for instance, because maybe you are being rushed by time, you understand?
Yeah.
And that I understood, that's what I explained to the person. You are feeling there is something that is lacking. Maybe you are late. And therefore, whoever comes and smiles and tells you, I want to marry you, you're already straight up.
Wedding gown,
you are there.
Remember,
you understand?
The biggest writer of marital stability himself is a divorcee. The biggest writer of books on marital stability and everything is a divorcee.
He's a divorcee.
But let's just.
But I differ with you on that, because there are people who have written.
What I'm saying is this.
Because I wouldn't read a book from a divorcee.
Okay, but
you read the Bible.
You understand? From a divorcee? Because if I want to strengthen my marriage, if I want to strengthen my marriage, I read from somebody who has experienced marriage, succeeded. Maybe they are celebrating the 60th anniversary. Then I will know how to overcome.
Reading from failures.
But if you read from negativity, then you'll end up with negativity.
Pastor, let me say, Bishop, let me say this. All relationships by nature get old.
True, they do.
And the unfortunate part of what Bishop was saying is that the man gets older, changes, but the woman thinks she's constant. The woman also changes.
True.
So let's start from this premise that this marriage is a relationship of two people who got into it on the basis of what I call vulnerability as at that time. And remember, the vulnerability ceases to exist when you are in. If you thought this guy had money and he treated you pretty well when you're doing dating, the money will not be available when you marry him.
Is it that an expectation?
No, let me just finish.
Yeah, that has failed.
So the vulnerability of your poverty that was supposed to be cured in this marriage does
now
not
does not
exist.
it's not.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
thought this guy was so handsome, then you soon realize they have genetic defect in their family. So you're like, oh my God, is
What's
this what I
gonna
want to give
happen?
my
Yeah.
children in future?
Yeah.
Or you realize that every other thing you are impressed with were borrowed things. Heavy loan,
Yeah.
you get into this house, even
The
the,
car
loan,
is
the house
borrowed.
is being mortgaged.
Everything is borrowed.
So some
Yeah.
of these things are critically not functional at different levels. Two, we all have our sense of aesthetics. We all have our sense of beauty. All women have their sense of handsomeness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people here tall, dark, handsome, whatever.
Yeah.
And all these are based on vulnerability,
Yeah.
based on certain level of understanding that this is what has been portrayed to us as being handsome, and this kind of woman is beautiful. We never.
So a stereotype.
Most of that is
Sort of, yeah.
is never based on ideological meeting point.
Okay.
That the two of you can ideologically meet and discuss issues. So the only thing you discuss is, are you providing or not? Are you doing this or not? Have you made water for me to bathe or not? Are my clothes iron or not? You are not marrying a maid.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Yeah.
Your wife
Yeah.
is not a maid.
Yeah.
That's true.
Neither is your husband a bank, a bank
An
account,
ATM.
an ATM to withdraw money.
Yeah.
So once we look at this from this perspective and understand marriage
Yeah.
as an entry point of some level of partnership that requires to be constantly nurtured,
Yeah.
it then
Worked
becomes
on.
much easier for marriage to work. Number two, let me say this. The question, the way you portrayed it was also wrong.
Okay.
Can traditional marriages,
Yeah.
we are not talking about tradition anymore.
No,
People
but
are on the
that's
move.
last week what you said.
Yes.
Because I asked this question, yeah?
Yes.
Can we do away with culture, tradition, and all, and this allow people to be?
Correct.
And you said we cannot do away with
Yeah,
tradition
culture
because that
and
is what
tradition, yeah.
forms
Correct.
us. So we're trying to sort of
Why?
like then go back to what
Why?
ideally
Because
it was.
culture
Yeah.
is constantly becoming.
Ah, okay.
Every
All
single
right.
day is additional day.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I used to do as a Luo, we used to remove 6 lower teeth. Maybe it was for medical reasons. In the event that the intravenous injection was not available, we no longer do it.
Yeah.
And nobody sat anywhere to say, let's not do this.
Yeah.
Polygamy was the order of the day, but I can
Yeah.
tell you it's now returning.
Yeah.
There's a lot of serial monogamy at the
Yes.
moment. So there's a lot of returning of
Of
multiplicity of spouses.
Tradition.
Come we stay
Yeah.
is now the order of the day. In a lot of, anytime I go to a wedding,
But it's can we stay
anytime
a
I go to a wedding
traditional?
of young people,
Yeah.
there is something that is hidden in this wedding. The lady could be pregnant already. So there's a lot of test and trials. Trials that the presumption is that an educated woman has used contraceptives.
Yes,
She's
they
now
know
secondary
better.
infertility.
Yes.
I have to test her and try.
Yeah.
And she has to be tried and tested
Yeah.
before we can get into this.
Yeah.
Then let's face it. In the West, divorce is no issue. You just
I
hear
mean, yeah.
Angeline is between husbands. He's just leaving John, but now going out with Charles. But
Somebody
over
talks
here,
of marriages.
over here, we are too judgmental.
Wow.
And in that judgment, the biggest recipient of the judgment is the woman. So some of these things are also not fair.
So then the question is then, so then what works? Because now if you say then tradition and culture keeps on not changing, but it's
A cocktail.
yeah, it's being made, yeah?
What works is a cocktail,
Yeah.
a thorough understanding of why you're getting into this marriage,
Okay.
a thorough appreciation of the fact that the two of you are coming together for a reason, and that reason can be from either side of the divide. It's not based on, well, let me just, I think Bishop has allowed me to change something. I defined marriage as two consenting adults.
Okay.
A lot in traditional setup, the consent was from the parents of the girls.
Yeah, not from the girl.
The girl
Yeah.
herself rarely consented because sometimes
Yeah.
most of their marriages were arranged.
Okay.
And the girls were pretty young. Most of those marriages between 14 to 16 years.
Yeah.
Right now, I think people want to be career oriented.
Yeah.
A typical girl
Yeah.
would finish
Focus
university.
on career first. Yes.
Finish university at the age of 24 or thereabout. Then she still thinks at 24, do I need to get married?
No.
Maybe masters, maybe let me get a job, stability. Let me also bring something on the table.
Yeah.
I hear some
my
lady
hustle.
saying, I have nothing to bring on the table. I could even take the whole table. So that is, men are also not looking for dependent spouses.
But then, so Emmanuel, isn't that what you see when you sit down with a couple, for premarital counseling, and you ask them, so why do you want to get married? Because I read somewhere, and they were saying, whether right or wrong, and we had a whole discussion about right and wrong and who dictates what's right and what's wrong. but to them, the reason why they're coming together and the reason why they have decided to marry is right for them. But now, so Prof says, so we need to first of all understand that. Why are we getting married? But the question is, isn't everybody sort of like quote unquote aware of why they're getting into marriages? No?
I don't think so. I think they have their idea of what they have their idea
of
and again,
why they're getting into marriage.
Of why they're getting into marriage. And then again, so there's that word she asked me to define, the brokenness.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what it literally means.
All right.
It literally means that when you think about it from human development point of view and how we grow and the different stages and what we need to experience in the different stages,
all right,
you will find that depending on how you are raised, it will determine the path that you take.
Okay.
For example, at the age of 3, there's they call it the Oedipus and or Electra stage. Now, at this point, for example, the man will be attracted to the mother at 3 years old.
Okay.
So they are drawn to the mother, and how he's handled and treated can either push him a certain way or push him a different way.
All right.
You will find a lot of women that come into my counseling room, their fathers were absent during that time. And you'll find a lot of them have a deficit of love, a deficit of affirmation.
Okay.
And then they grow up looking for this in a man.
All right.
So now it's to ask, in this process of growth, what are the things that maybe you experience, the traumas you experience, the life experiences that you experience that altered you to feel or think or, be inclined to a certain way.
All right.
And sometimes you'll find some of those things then determine who you choose because they are fulfilling a certain need.
All right.
All right?
Yeah.
Yet, like I said last week, marriage is not the end all.
Yeah.
Marriage is just a tool for you to accomplish a greater purpose.
All right.
And it's a tool for you to accomplish a greater purpose in terms of procreating and the continuity of humanity. It's a tool which you can do without marriage.
Yes.
Well, the ideal place to get it is in marriage, but it's a tool you can to procreate. The second thing is it's a tool to help the society around you and to serve humanity. And biblically, she will tell you, was rulership and stewardship over creation. All right, those are the fundamental things that biblically it says a marriage was. Now, majority of us don't go into marriage to do these things. Maybe procreate.
Yeah.
That's a big one that we all do.
Yeah.
But the other determinant is that marriage is the end all. So it ends with us.
Yeah.
And so when we are in it, it's all about meeting my need. So we become very insular.
Yeah. So I have an example, right? For reasons, among the reasons why people get married. So say, for example, money is a factor in this marriage. So Prof here says, I can provide for you. Me, I want to get married because Prof has money. And Prof is okay providing, for all. Isn't that like okay, as long as the two parties agree and are okay with the reason why they're getting into marriage?
But is that the only need? Is that the only need?
Maybe that's the biggest need that this person needs to be
But
met.
is it the only need?
It might not be the only.
What I feel about marriage.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it should start as a friendship.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think those things are really the main things that a young girl or a young man is looking at.
Okay.
You understand? A grown-up person may know the needs that they have, maybe the kind of background they're coming from. This is what I would want to be.
Yeah.
And therefore, if I get married to this family, these needs will be met.
Yeah.
And by that time, it's not even the guy alone.
Yeah.
Or probably look at the job that the man has or the woman.
Yeah.
But I want to say, the proper kind of relationship that will keep you in that relationship is friendship.
Okay. All right.
As I said earlier, I was introduced.
Yeah.
Something was arranged.
Yeah.
But when I met the person, he became my friend. And now, 27 years down the line, we are still friends. You understand?
That's fantastic.
Friends.
Yeah.
Friends, friends.
Yes.
So what I want to say, the ideal way, maybe it may not happen with everybody.
Everybody, yes.
And I don't think money should be, or maybe maybe somebody's physical appearance, maybe even the sexual drive. Because at a time, that will go.
Yeah.
Our faces
Physical
change.
appearance will change,
You know,
yes.
the way you look changes.
Yes.
So what I think from the beginning, we should socialize the young people to begin at a friendship point.
Okay.
Because the moment you're friends, you'll communicate. There will be no problem. I've gone through a lot of financial constraints. Together with my husband. But it never broke us 1 minute. We became stronger. At one point, we were even accommodated. But because we are friends, we continue to be strong. I've seen that in some couples in my church. And I find that couples that have friendship,
that's fantastic.
That is strong.
They're in the minority.
You know, they're strong. But that is the way it should be. It should be. Because if I come into a relationship with a, let's say, prof, and it's because of his job, tomorrow that job is not
It's gone.
Maybe
Or
the
you realize
physique.
I'm
And
earning
tomorrow,
peanuts.
he's not the way he is. That marriage, and that is what, let me say this, Winnie. That is what is happening. People are going for material and what they can see. And no wonder marriages are not lasting.
Okay.
So Winnie,
Winnie, so we have literally 3 minutes. So can we divide amongst ourselves? Okay.
I always say, the reason I'm still married today is because my wife is my friend first, before she is my
So you agree with me?
So I agree with you 100%.
Winnie, I want to say something.
Yeah.
But let us also bear certain facts at the moment. We have an empowered woman.
Yes.
We have a religious people who are not basing anything on the Bible. Culture is, the way culture constrained us is not possible nowadays. There's acceptance of single motherhood. There's acceptance of can we stay relationship. Our constitution even went further to bring other marriage acts that are not even in any jurisdiction. That if we've cohabited with you for 6 months and there's evidence, you're my wife.
Married.
So
You're
all
married.
these kind of things are things that we must put into account. And the reality at the moment is that there are young girls mostly, and even young boys. I have my sons at home, and the idea of marriage and settling is far much different from what me and the mother would think about. So I think these are realities that we must talk about on a daily basis. In as much as the Bible gives us an ideal position, culture gives us what is expected, the reality over here must be balanced on the basis of those balance of probability.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that I'm learning over time is that sometimes what we call the ideals
is not what is happening.
It's definitely not what is happening.
Yes.
However, is it the principle that we need to work towards, but transpose it to where we are at now and ask ourselves, how does this work out within where we are at in this society? Because the principles are the principles. If this glass was made to hold the water, then we need to use it for exactly that. But how do we make it relevant for where we are at?
Can also hold beer.
How do we make it relevant for where we are at?
For where we are at.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Agreed.
Bishop,
I feel also
30 seconds. Yes.
What is causing marriages not to fulfill their purpose is also religious differences. You know, maybe I'm coming from this religion and I don't subscribe to what you believe, and the other person is coming also from a certain religion and they don't subscribe. So when it comes to getting values in the family, it becomes very difficult. You don't know what...
Young people are religious.
Yeah.
Out there that are religious.
Yeah.
They are religious.
Are religious.
Are religious.
They are not. They don't.
They're not religious
subscribe
at
to
all. Yes.
No. Let's
Out
talk
there.
about.
They're
I'm talking
spiritual.
about. I'm talking about this. What is affecting? What is causing marriage not to be? You know, the purpose of marriage not to be fulfilled. One of the reasons, and it's very fundamental, is if my son came with a person from another religion, there will be no support from the family.
Okay.
And the moment there is no support from the family, that relationship may go on, culminate into being, you know, a marriage relationship, but it will not have much support because I don't accept that as maybe the mother.
Okay.
And I believe this boy is not cultured maybe to take care of another person with another religion.
It's also happening in cross-cultural marriages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Particularly the Luo Kikuyu marriages.
Yeah.
You find parents on the other side don't want the marriage.
Yeah.
So the young people just come together.
Then
So when there's a
what makes
parade,
it fail, because what we are talking about is how come marriage is not being able to fulfill purpose. It's because there's no family support.
Can we put a pin on that?
Okay.
Yeah, and then remember we also have next Tuesday where we discuss all these realities. It's hot. It's really hot. But again, remember very quickly before we say goodbye, the question that we asked you this morning, where are traditional reasons? Now Prof says that one is not correct. So are traditional reasons for marriage still relevant in today's society? And let me just read through very quickly what some of you have to say. So Adiki Odero on Facebook says, greed has destroyed something good, greed for money and disrespect. And then Kim said, nope, women empowerment destabilized everything. Ooh-wee. And then Mushai Wanjiru says, yes, to a few, majority do not care. Kim Ochieng says, yes. Bob Nelvin, still on Facebook, says, of course, okay. And then this is Voke, True Guts, hey, who says, modern society has such a thing, as joblessness. And who wants to marry without a source of livelihood just because they are falling behind their peers, and then puts in bracket a traditional reason. Well, traditionally, men who had sizable inherited wealth, land and cattle, would think nothing of marrying early and marrying many wives. Today, we men marry when we can provide for self as well as for the new family. Well, let me tell you, the feedback is a lot, so keep sending them our way.
And all of them are very valid.
Yes, very valid.
Very
NTV
valid.
Kenya. And this is both on Facebook and on X, so tag me as well, at @Libebe_Winnie. And keep the conversation going online as well. That is on YouTube. This, simply because we're saying goodbye here on TV, we don't have to say goodbye, online. But before we end the conversation or we end the show this morning, just to let you know that something big is happening. And this is the biggest, Kenya's biggest shopping extravaganza. And that is the Nation Shopping Festival is back. And this time, bigger and better this December with unbeatable discounts, a wide range of products, and endless choices for everyone. So from the latest gadgets to the trendiest fashion, holiday gifts to home essentials, there is something for everyone. So what you need to do is join us at KICC from 4th to 8th December, KICC grounds, for an unforgettable shopping experience. For those of us who love shopping, this is where you need to be, all right? KICC, 4th to 8th December. But it's not just about shopping. Bring out your entire family for a fun-filled activities, live entertainment, and delicious food. So what you need to do is book your vendor slot today by calling 0790 or email us at nsf@ke.missionmedia.com. So for all the shoppers there, KCC grounds 4th to 8th December. All right. Have yourselves a lovely day ahead. I'll see you tomorrow on Wellness Wednesday, where guess what, we'll be doing hula hoops for fitness. That's gonna be fun. Okay, so you do not want to miss that conversation. But for now, thank you very much for coming by today. Professor Owor Olunga, Bishop Grace Mudhoni Dalizu, and Emmanuel Gashanja for coming by today. We'll see you soon. Msipote, okay, for another hot topic. But for now, goodbye, God bless, and see you soon. Goodbye.